I'm wondering about the future of data and the idea of data, because I remember during the crypto scene, there was all this talk that like data is the new oil,
Right.
and you go on the internet these days, like, your consciousness spends so much time on the internet these days, and it's actually such a bum deal that's happening to you, because these social media companies bewitch you with like pretty pictures and
Yeah.
videos, and they extract out of you information, and then they use advertisement platforms to monetize that information, and you have a right towards that data. And so
Yeah.
the likes of Odyssey and Brave and BAT, basic attention token, we're actually trying to quantify consciousness so that they could transform it into something that people could monetize. It's like you get paid for your data, and they were always talking about the future of data. And it seems like with AI, we're coming up with very similar motifs. Once again, we have this machine, it harvests data from all across the internet, and I don't know, can you stop it doing that? But it seems like there's a problem with OpenAI harvesting all that data. Is that trustworthy? These type of things. Is there going to, you think, form an industry perhaps of paid data where it's like very valuable? For example, say I as an artist want to create Salvador Dali's style paintings. Maybe the Dali Foundation will create a archive that I can buy if I want. I want to if I want to get the data set, and then I can create in his style, but I have to. It's like copyright in a weird way, but it's just a more weird, advanced version of it. I've quite speculative, but what do you think about that? And do you see any things like this forming? Like, would companies have company assets, which would be these large data sets of sales information or marketing information? I think would be very powerful. And say if a company goes bankrupt, or if a company wants to sell a certain asset, do you see that turning into a viable thing where they might exchange these in the open market?
Yeah, it's already happening and has been happening for a while, but I think it'll become more important and more useful. And I hope to some degree, and I'm not sure what it'll look like, but I hope there is or will be a better way for data ownership for yourself, right? So like, even though I'm a marketer and I've been using paid advertising for years and using all this data, I only use it with my clients to sell stuff, but there are nefarious actors who takes that data and does bad things with it, right? So there should be some sense of data ownership where companies only get access to my data if I allow them to, or they, pay me for it, or I agree to it in exchange for something else. Now, obviously that's happening now with Facebook and all those other platforms. You check the terms and conditions box and no one reads it. But what it does is that you give them permission to mine your data. And most people don't understand that, or they do, and they don't think anything bad will happen. But bad things will continue to happen, and it'll get worse because people have been lazy about their data. So in general, I hope some kind of data ownership happens. I'm not sure if it will, but I hope, because I'd like to remove my data from the internet if I could. I would, in a heartbeat. Instantly. If there's an option for me to remove it, I would instantly.
Yeah.
But there isn't. But for companies, it's going to be what you're describing is already happening, and it's going to become more important. Because I have companies or people I consult with and advise on AI, on acquiring AI companies. And one company reached out to me a few months ago, and the company they wanted to buy was not an AI company. It was a phone call center company. And they had 9 years worth of recorded phone calls, and they were transcribed. So we're talking terabytes upon terabytes, like just a crap ton of data. So they looked at that company and they thought, like, we don't care about the call center as a thing. And they thought, why don't we just buy that company for the data? The battery on the camera ran out or something.
Yeah, that's probably it. It probably has to get a good charge. Oh, back to the Stone Age, guys.
Back to the Stone Age. See yeah. So I'll repeat the story and I'll say it again. So a few months ago, a company reached out to me and they wanted my opinion on a company they were looking to buy. Now, I advise and consult with many companies on acquisitioning of AI companies, but they were looking at a call center company, which is not an AI company. But they were looking at this call center company, and they realized that this company had 9 years worth of recorded calls and transcriptions of those calls. And it was for a particular market that I can't reveal what it's for. But that's a ton of data. a ton,
Yeah.
calls and transcriptions. And they were asking me, like, Sam, is it worthwhile to buy this company only for the data set that they have? Like, we don't care about the call center itself. We don't care about the large floor plans with, people on the phone and computers and all this stuff. They go, we just want to, like, we think that the data is the thing that we should buy it for. And I said, yeah, you should buy that company and only for the data, and keep the data and get rid of the rest of it, because the rest of it is not valuable, but the data set is.
Mm-hmm.
And like, get this, the person who wanted to sell the company, the call center company, he had no clue what he was sitting on, because he said to them, just buy the call center and I'll throw in the data. Like, he goes, I don't care about it. I don't know if anyone else cares about it. Like, who cares about recorded phone calls? But I'll just throw it in as part of the purchase.
Oh my God.
Meanwhile, they're like, we just only want the data.
Nodding. Yeah. They're like, oh yeah.
Exactly. Because the data set is and I forget what the valuation of the company was they wanted to buy, but I told them that, like, the data set is the only thing that's valuable, and it's worth 7 times more than what you're trying to buy it for. So buy it now, and then use that for AI and machine learning, because that's going to become super valuable over the next few years.
Now, that's very, very fascinating. That's actually, like, I could even see that as a young entrepreneur with a business opportunity where you could actually go around to an awful lot of these old, maybe it's a bit crass to say it this way, but like the boomers in the old world with like phones and the video recording VHRs, and they were doing business old school style. And as we were saying, they're recording calls and stuff like that. There's actually going to be a huge amount of data that's just kind of people don't understand its potential. And you could go around, you could harvest that and turn it into all sorts of interesting assets. Like, I can imagine that you could package that data and put it up for sale on the internet, and anybody in that industry who understood what that was would spend a 7-time price tag on it. So,
or create a large language model based on the data.
Yeah, exactly.
So people can just interact with it as a chatbot. So there are many ways of splicing and dicing it, but that's where a lot of the value is going to start accumulating, is the data set combined with AI and machine learning, either on its own or as a bot that you can talk to, or as a language model that exists. That's where a lot of the value is going to start accumulating. And so it's going to become more and more important for your data to be clean and usable.
And will there be any industry for, say, a creative programmer who would make those personalized chatbots? And so he sits down and he gets that data and he builds a chatbot that interacts with that data. And then he tries to sell that chatbot in the open market. I'd imagine there'd be a little bit of suspicion there, but that could be a very viable path for the future for people who want to start.
And for marketers, like, you should have an avatar GPT that's trained on a particular market segment that you're selling to, because whoever's buying your stuff, they're buying your competitor's stuff too. But imagine if you're the one who has the most valuable data and model off of the avatar that everyone's trying to sell to. You can license access to it. You can sell access to it. You can sell the thing as it is to a larger company who wants to buy it. Wow. And so this is the way forward, which is to create these assets of data and language models that you can either sell access to or sell to larger companies.
Wow. So there's a very interesting cutting edge for, your audience, is that when crypto became a big deal, if you understood, I think it was Solidity or Solidarity. Solidity, I think, is the Ethereum coding language. Like, if you understood that, you could expect €750,000 euro a year payday for any job at all, any casual remote job, 10 hours a week, you're probably going to get paid through the roof, because that's how big of a deal it was. And so perhaps this might be one of those opportunities, if you're just very, very good at organizing data, understanding how to clean data, and then building and training models off that actually work in specific target markets, you might be very useful for a kind of gold rush for companies who are beginning to onboard into this new world. So
I mean, I'm getting job offers to do that right now from companies. But I'm not for hire. So, they can't buy me to come work for them. But it is a skill that people are realizing, oh shoot, we should pay someone to do this.
And here's a question, because I'm not sure like if you can code or not, but is that type of job more of an understanding of what you're dealing with, or would you actually need like coding knowledge in order to do it? Like, as it becomes now intuitive enough that you could do it just as if you had the knowledge, or as I said, you need the skills?
You right now you need a skill. Maybe soon, like in a couple of years, you won't necessarily, or you should, because you can have like this GitHub Copilot that can code with you. So
Nice.
you don't need to know code. Like it's good if you do. And now, right now, most people want you to have coding or development skills. Like Python is like the main language. So it's good if you do. But I think that we'll get to the point where you don't need to be an excellent Python developer. You just have to know what's possible and sort of how to get there, and then you can direct a bot to code it for you.